Hey, Joni.
Good morning. How are you?
Awesome. It's a little
Good.
cold. Hey, Jonathan.
Good morning.
Rob.
We are recording everybody, just a heads up.
Nice flag, Rob.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. Hi, Joni. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Well. Looking ahead, Don.
Hey, Mike. You're on mute. Hey, Audrey. You're on mute.
Good morning, Don.
There you
Mike.
go.
Morning, Brian.
Good morning.
Hey, Joni.
Morning, Jonathan.
What's for breakfast?
Zucchini bread.
Nice.
Bring it up for everybody.
Just hot
Sure.
chocolate.
In the kitchen. Help yourself.
I like the way you think, Rob.
Always about me.
Hey, Don, how much blood did you have to donate to get a hat?
I don't know. They gave this to me like a year ago, and I've tried to get another one, and I don't know what the deal is, but
Yeah,
What are you?
I got
You're
one.
like at 2 barrels now. How much blood have you given?
me,
Yeah.
it's more. It's almost 11 gallons.
Wow.
Really?
Cut yourself and air just comes out.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, Bob. I mean, President Bob. You're on
Can
mute.
you hear me this time?
Yep.
Here
You're
you
on. I got
You look
a brand
nice.
new camera thing for this thing, so maybe it'll work this time and forever.
It can be Bob. We can hear him.
Here, can't see the top of his head, but we can hear
Festive
him.
colors too.
How you doing, James?
Hey, James.
I just
Hey, James, heads up that you are the vocational speaker next week.
Audrey, you look like a lawyer.
Oh, that's good. I wish I could bill hourly like that.
Attorney Weiberg. You could have one of those cool commercials.
The ambulance chasing.
My favorite one's the Ann Fong one. When things
Yes.
go wrong, call Ann Fong.
Hey, Don
Hey,
Morris.
there's Dawn.
Good to see you,
Yay.
Don.
Hey, Sue Frost. You're on mute.
Hi, Desi. Thanks for joining us again.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Sue. Hi, Phyllis.
Hey, morning all.
Morning,
Hi,
Patty.
everyone.
Dennis.
Good morning, all.
Hi, Des.
Good morning.
You made it back. Awesome.
Desi, how do you pronounce your last name?
He's on mute.
You're on mute, Desi.
You're on mute.
Oh,
Driving,
sorry.
don't crash
Good
the car,
morning.
does it?
Good morning. I thought everybody heard me. Sorry. Good
No.
morning, Sue. Good morning, everybody.
There we go.
Good morning, Desi.
Good morning, John. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you.
Steve Blair. Don Morris. You're both on mute.
Good
Don,
morning.
how are you healing?
Okay, I thought I'd unmuted it. Doing okay. Mobility is still an issue, but beyond that, doing okay.
Well, breaking a leg will cause mobility to be an issue.
Uh-huh. Especially when you go through the top of your knee and shove a rod down it.
Mm.
No, thank you.
You're the $1 million man now.
So now
I'm
we
a
have to keep
TSA
Lori.
nightmare.
We have to
Hey,
keep Lori
David
off the
Page.
ladders and Don out of parking lots, apparently.
That's
Yeah.
right. David Page.
Hey, Bob, can we hear you?
Yes, I got a brand new video thing, so now you can hear me all the time instead of just periodically when I try to start a video.
You don't sound like a chipmunk.
Yay for that.
Dennis,
Hey, there's Dennis.
Hey,
Dave
Dennis.
Shepherd, Mitch
Looks like
Klaus.
Mike Pence.
Bert's trying to come through. It's right at 7. Hi, Bert. She made it.
Morning, all.
Bert, I can't see you. What are you doing there, Bert?
Hey, where's Lori? There you are.
Bill Tobin.
Lori, you're the new Bert. Lori's the new Bert.
Good morning.
So what I get from this is Bert's only late when she has to leave home. So we got to start having meetings at Bert's house when we go back to regular meetings.
There you go.
I'm
We
wondering
love
if
you,
she's up on.
Bert. Love you, Bert.
I still can't see you, Bert.
I see the top of her head.
See your hand.
It's
I
her
see your
head.
hands, yeah. What are
I
you
don't see
doing,
Sean.
Bert? Are you making cookies, Bert?
Welcome, Bill. Glad to have you with us this morning for all those down there. See his pretty face.
Hi, everyone.
Great.
Hey,
Your
Colleen.
computer
Hi,
finished. its
Colleen.
updates,
How
huh?
are all the critters?
Hey, Dennis.
Hi, Mike.
Hi there.
Dennis, you're on mute. There you go.
Brian. Hey, Brian.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Hey, Dennis. Hi, Dennis, sweetie.
Hey, Russ Reams. Hey, Ann Hively.
Hey, Morris.
Both Dennises.
Dennis squared.
Yes, Dennis Square.
Can't hear you, Ann. You're on mute.
You're muted, Ann.
Oh, she's being attacked by Clyde. Stop it, Clyde.
Well, Don, how are you feeling?
Dennis, you got your invitation. Turn on your sound.
Okay, how's that?
Better.
That's it. Russ Reams, how are you today?
I'm just wonderful and peachy keen. How are you, Don?
Doing well.
Good.
Got my hat on. My ears are warm.
Must mean you got a bad hair day, huh?
Every day's a
Never
bad
has
hair
a
day
bad
for me. Hence the hat.
That's the hat.
It's a little cold outside.
I wouldn't know. I
too. Okay.
I can verify that. I was walking Clyde outside at 6 a.m. this morning with my hat, my gloves, my scarf, my flashlight, and my dog. And we had a good walk.
Ann Hively, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Does Clyde speak French?
Well, you know what? He tunes in more on my Italian class. So I think
Oh.
he's picking up a little bit on that.
Well, it looks like we just about have everybody. We'll give it another half a minute and see if we get any new attendees, and then we'll get started. Any new people coming. So. Okay. Yeah.
Good looking cat, Sean.
Lots of hair.
Yeah.
That's a cutie. Look at that.
What's your cat's name, Sean?
This is Lily.
Lily.
How
wow.
cute.
I have a feral. His name's Bobby Boucher.
Much does he weigh, Sean? This one's probably like 7 or 8 pounds. It's all hair. Oh, is it?
Okay, I guess this is, maybe we'll see if other people can join. That's great. Keep your eyes peeled, Jonathan. Well, Jonathan's got an assistant this morning. Good morning. Okay.
That's not the assistant, that's the commander.
All right. Okay, great. Well, let's get started. I keep forgetting I've been going to go over to Russ and Lori's and get the bell, because the bell is with all the Rotary stuff. And I keep forgetting to get it, so I don't have anything to ring this morning. So anyway, ring.
Bing, 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 bing.
Thank you. Thank you, Russ. So again, I still haven't, I got to talk to Jonathan about this, about the flag salute or something. I'll get to that next week. Be ready. It'll be spectacular. Whitney Houston will be singing or something. We'll see. So invocation, I have Dave Page. You ready, Dave?
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Right.
All right, let's just take a quick minute to take time to reflect and think about everybody around us that may be going through some very trying times right now. Take a minute to think about our first responders, the military, and everybody basically on the front lines. And let's just take a moment to think about what we can do to make our little world a better place. That's it.
Amen. I guess.
Thank you. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, so introduction of guests. Sue, would you like to introduce your guest? Maybe not quite as long as last week's introduction.
I'm sorry. If you give a politician a mic, he's got problems. I'm so excited that Desi's back this week.
Thank you.
And so that's my introduction. Everybody knows Desi.
Welcome, Desi. We're all glad to have you back again. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm just looking to see if we're so. Okay, Russ, would you like to introduce that guy down there on the bottom of my screen?
The guy that looks like he's been camping out all night. He is Bill Tobin from the El Dorado Hills Club, and you'll hear about him a little bit later.
Great. Thank you. Welcome, Bill. Nice to have you with us again. He has visited our club more than once and even brought a tent with him one time, which we all got to walk around in and stuff. So it's good to have you. Glad to hear the message again. There's a number of people that are new and haven't heard this whole story before, and it always gets a little bit more interesting every time I hear it because stuff keeps happening. At Pets, there was just a whole bunch of stuff I didn't know about, not just the tents, but the tarps, and you'll get into all that, I'm sure. So thank you. I think that's, do we have any other guests? I don't think we have. Brianna this morning. That's too bad. Okay, so moving right along to announcements. Last week we started something and we didn't tell you all about it. What we're going to do when it comes to the prospecting so that people will be able to actually pay eventually or somehow is we're going to the prospector is going to take notes and keep track of who owes what to the prospector. We're going to give that information to Jim Bunton, who then will put it on your invoice. So when you get your next invoice, it'll have the various things plus money due to the prospector, and so that'll be added there. That way we'll actually be able to keep track of for yourself as well as the club who owes what to the prospector. So be ready for that when the invoice comes out. We don't have Jim today. Where's Jim? Okay. Lori, would you like to tell us about the Christmas basket program? I know you sent out an email. Hopefully everybody read it.
I did get my shoppers. I thank everyone who volunteered. I will be sending you your shopping list today. So I know it was Dawn and Sue and Patty and I forgot. Yeah, so I have it all written down. But I will be sending you your list and shopping. Some people did volunteer to work next Saturday. That is awesome because we need all the help we can get because we will not have the Casa Roble Interact kids this year. So if you have access to like a wagon or something that we might load things in, please bring it. We might need it if some boxes are heavy. We do ask our families not to pack them too heavy. So we will be at the Orangevale Grange. Russ and I will be there at 8 o'clock to get the floor mats down. Let's see, check-in for host families is 9 to 10. 10 to 11, we spot check and make sure everybody's checked in. If something is missing, I usually have to find somebody to quick like a little rabbit, as Mike Mache would say, to run to the store for me. And then 11 to 12, our receiving families will pick up. I do know that there are 2 deliveries that will have to be made. One little lady has no car. One family is finishing up with COVID. I told her I would drop it on her front porch, ring the doorbell, and let her know I was there, that I'm not going anywhere near that house, other than to leave her stuff at the front door. I didn't want her coming to pick up. She'd be over it, but not. So anyhow, so that's kind of where we are. Thank you to everyone who volunteered. We have, the club is sponsoring, I believe, 9 families. We have 31 or 32 families in total. So it's going to be a busy year. I mean, you know, we have a number of seniors. We have a couple of families that have 6 kids, and we have a bunch of families that have 1. So, you know, you never know from year to year. So, Mr. President, that's where we are.
Great, thank you. So yes, if you can help in any way, that's kind of a big thing we do each year, and it's something that's definitely needed this year, even more than normally, I suppose. James, you want to give us the announcement that you have for us? You're still muted.
You're muted, James.
All right, how's that?
There you go. Okay,
can you hear me?
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we were able to fund a shelter box this week, and so we've gone ahead and done that. I had been reading up a little bit about their work in the Philippines and wanted to fund a family in the Philippines. But I got onto their website, and when it came time to fund, there was only 4 areas in which I could designate funds to go to. One was where they needed it most. One was deployment essentials. One was Syrian refugee crisis, and one was their COVID-19 fund. And so I just funded where it was needed most. So that's what we've done this week. And they are hard at work. I was unaware of how many crises there are around the world. They do a better job of sharing that than my local news reporting agency and their World Report. So I know where to go now to find out better what's going around the world. Just go to Shelterbox website, and you'll find out anything you need to know. Anyway, if you're into world news, that is.
You can go home now, Tobin.
Yeah.
My work here is done. I'm going to go sleep in. No.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that donation. I saw it come through our database yesterday, and I was like, wow, it's the first time I think I've ever had the donation before the presentation. So thanks a lot for that. And James, I'll have more details on where your money's going during my presentation.
Great.
James, talk about the other thing you funded.
Yes, we also funded
microcredit.
some microloans. Being the rookie that I am, I was unaware that I was able to put it on my credit card and get refunded. And so, you know, I had I'd taken the time to choose 5 ladies and their microloans. They were in the Philippines and Africa. And, you know, since I was unaware of that, that also went into their general fund. Now I know that I'm able to put things on a credit card so we can in the future designate specific individuals and we can follow up with them and see how they're doing. So, you know, I'm learning.
Good. Oh, that's great, James. Thanks. See, we're doing good stuff even when we're stuck at home in front of our computers. So, Mr. Russell, you are our vocational speaker today, but before that, do you have, you want to tell us about well, you have an announcement. Go ahead.
So I have some good news. Kimberly Clark has accepted a grant request that I put in for $500, and it's based on volunteer time. So sometime next year, our club will be receiving a $500 donation. And additionally, they're matching 2 donations that I made, and we'll be receiving some money for that as well. So that's good news.
So cool. Yeah.
Free money.
Thank you.
I wonder if I could give a short announcement.
Well, okay. And
last night I had the pleasure of interviewing by phone a freshman from Casa Roble who wants to participate in the virtual exchange program, which is new this year. And his parents were there on the phone call, and it was a very productive conversation. The end result was the young man, Eli, and his parents all said, go for it. Let's have you apply. And I will be sharing that with our Rotary Youth Exchange Committee, that I'm next to certain we have a candidate in Orangevale that will be matched with a foreign student also wanting to try the virtual exchange experience. And what was really fun is at the beginning, I asked the names of the parents as well. And Amber, the mother, said, Anne, after I told her, everyone, that I had taught at Casa Roble, taught French 33 years, and she said, well, I was part of your Denmark exchange. I went, oh my gosh, one of the most incredible things I did as a teacher was exchanging with teachers and classes from Denmark. So small world, one more time. Thank you.
Great. Excuse me. Okay, Don, did you have any other announcements?
Yeah, so 2 things real quick. First one is joke of the day. And let's see, who can I pick on? How about Tommy Boy? Are you down there, Tommy Boy?
Tommy want wingy. Tommy like wingy.
So Tommy, what did the baby corn say to the mama corn? What did the baby corn say to the mama corn?
Go Navy, beat Navy, beat Army.
Hey. I didn't call on
go
you,
Navy,
Dennis.
beat Army. Thank you, Dennis.
What did the baby corns
You're
say
a
to the
little
mama
ear
corn?
close. I can hear you.
You know the answer?
I gave you my answer. I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Nope, that's incorrect. What did the baby corn say to the mama corn? Where's popcorn? Where's popcorn?
Wonderful.
Okay, that's number 1.
Write that down, Sue.
Number 2 is, you know, we used to do Dine Around, and that was where we'd all get together at a restaurant or outdoor event. And, you know, with the current with the current COVID situation and so forth, I personally don't think it's wise to meet up and drink and so forth in person. So my question to you is, if we did a Zoom evening or weekend meeting, who, raise of hands, who would be interested in joining a Zoom meeting, during an evening? Anybody interested in that? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I'll set something up where we can do a virtual dine around, and then hopefully we'll all be able to get back together soon. That's all that I have, President Bob.
Okay, well, I've got a couple of other people that have announcements. I actually looked at the chat thing this time, and I could see that there are some. Audrey, what you got to say?
Yes, just a quick reminder that tomorrow, Luce Johnson and I and one of the care homes are sponsoring the cause for cookies and cocoa. We'll be at the Chamber location outside, so you can come by and get hot cocoa and fresh made cookies, not by me, by the way. And they're professionally made by the care home. And make a donation to the food bank, either food items or cash, whatever you would like, but we'd love your support. 9 to 12 tomorrow, rain or shine.
Okay, thanks, Audrey.
Thank
Dave.
you.
Yes, all right. Every year, Tommy and I have a little wager Army-Navy game. That's my $50 I handed him last night that will be up for grabs to the foundation, depending who loses. So everybody go Army, Navy, take the Marines with you.
Wow, good job.
There are more Navy men in this group than Army, so.
Okay, you said Navy men. I'm sorry.
Sailors, Swabbies, whatever. Russ, you were raising your hand.
Don just reminded me when he talked about the COVID problems, when you do go to the Grange next week, if you're going to stay and help us, we hope, park in the back of the building. Sue, close your ears. We're probably not in compliance with our wonderful leaders' rules on that, so she's asked us please stay in the back.
F compliance.
Where we're out of sight.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? I guess we're good to go. Okay.
Well, just for the record, we did call the health department and check on our little event, and they said we're fine as long as we're outside. So come bring us money and food, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of money, it's prospector time. So Audrey and Sue, you've got the floor.
All right, Sue, I'm keeping track of the big finds.
Yeah, and I brought Santa along. He's making a list and he's checking it twice. And I'm a little bit new to prospecting, but I thought it would be fun on this holiday season to kind of kick off the Christmas season with a little bit of Christmas trivia for you folks. And before we start, I guess the first, my first question is for everyone who is going to be at Lori's, volunteering at Lori's Christmas gift basket, to raise your hand. And everyone else who's not, they owe us $1. So my first question for you is, in what city, let's ask Don Morris. In what city did Miracle on 34th Street take place?
New York City.
You got it. Good job.
Where?
What was the most popular item on top of the Christmas tree? Tommy.
What's the most popular item on top of the Christmas tree?
Yeah.
An angel.
You got it. Okay, so far I'm going to have to give you harder ones. Let's see. Jonathan, you're smiling there. Which American state was the first to make Christmas an official holiday?
Would that be, without a guess, Maryland?
I'm sorry?
Was that Maryland?
No, it was Alabama, 1836.
Wow, way off.
Wow.
How much does he owe, Sue?
Pardon me?
What's the fine for Jonathan?
Oh, $1. Okay. Now I want to, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I think I'm going to, because there was somebody in the group who saw our good friend Mike McKibben, and there was something that happened there with our friend Mike McKibben and his wife Celeste. I'm not asking this question right.
And I have no idea what she's talking about.
Audrey, can you help me out?
I think what we got as dirt was that he and his wife were doing the Run for the Hungry, which is awesome, but word was that he had no Rotary pin on and he was photographed at that event. I think that's got to be at least $1.
I think so. I think so. So
I think you're right. I think I did not have a Rotary. Yeah, guilty as charged. Incidentally,
our Rotary sources do not lie.
Incidentally, where we did it was across the street in Orangevale Park.
Oh, nice.
We did 17,000 steps.
Wow.
So is there anybody here who would like to buy $2 insurance in case I ask another question regarding Rotary pin? Raise your hand if you'd like to pay $2 for insurance in case I ask that question if you're wearing a Rotary pin. Anybody? $2 is up for sale. Insurance. Only one? Two? Ann Hively, I saw. Russ.
Sean.
Brian. John. David. Okay, that's great. Thank you, guys. Which country does the poinsettia plant originate from, Patty?
Sorry, I didn't hear the key word.
Which country does the poinsettia plant originate from?
You're muted, Patty.
Germany?
Nope. Anybody else know? That's $1 for Patty. How about Steve?
Mexico.
You got it. Mexico. And let's see, which country created eggnog? Phyllis.
I'm going to go with Germany on that one.
Okay, Phyllis owes $1. It's not Germany. How about, who haven't I gotten? Anne.
How about Sweden?
Eggnog.
$1 for Anne. How about Dennis?
France.
Not
France. No?
Donald. Let's see.
Mary wants to answer.
Mary?
I think it's Great Britain.
Nope.
No.
$1
what
for
I
Mary.
thought.
That's, well, I don't know. Is Great Britain England? I don't think
Yes.
so.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
It is.
Okay, you guys.
That ought to be a $10 fine for her.
Hey, lighten up on my buddy.
Let's see. I'm going to go to Bill Wagner for this one. We all know the tradition of hanging stockings for gifts. Which country uses shoes instead of socks for the same purpose?
Holland. That would also be called the Netherlands.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Smarty pants.
I know, huh?
I think that should be $2 for being smarty pants.
Okay.
By the way, if someone mouths off, they get more fine.
No, I lived there for 4 years, so that's why I know that.
Oh, wow.
Ah, good trivia.
Okay, what? How am I doing for time? One more?
One more.
Couple more. I have a few more, but I can, and I can't see all the faces. I want to get.
Given the deficit, you probably want to ask all of them.
Oh, ask all of them? Okay. For how much do you think?
Well, you're the county supervisor and the prospector. You get to make that call.
Isn't 10,000 going fine today, Sue?
Okay, let's go for $2. Let's go for $2.
All right.
What was the first artificial tree made of? How do you ask everyone? Mitch.
Aluminum.
Wrong. $2.
Russ.
Plastic.
Nope. $2.
Wow.
Anyone else?
Don Morris.
Toilet brushes.
No.
I saw that at the trivia on the music channel on TV.
Mary.
I think it's goose feathers.
It was feathers, yes.
Oh, nice, Mary.
Holy cow.
Whoa.
Did I ask the question about snowflakes?
Nope.
No.
Oh, this is good. Okay, I'm going to ask everyone again because that was kind of fun. How many sides does a snowflake have?
8.
Who said that?
I said 8.
Mike.
Mike.
Mike McKibben.
Oh, Mike, that's wrong.
Is it?
$2.
Okay. I was.
Mitch.
6.
Mitch.
2 sides.
2 sides?
Front and
Yep.
back.
Front and back.
No. $2. Anyone else? David.
I was with Mitch, front and back, because the other things are points.
Okay,
So
that's $2.
that's fine.
James.
16.
Nope. Oh, you guys are generous. Dennis, how about you?
Which Dennis?
This Dennis?
Sarkisian.
Oh, okay. I'd say there's 6 sides.
You got it.
Oh,
6
wow.
sides. So I guess that am I out of time, or do you want me to keep going?
How about happy finds?
Happy finds.
Okay. Does anybody have a happy find?
Mary does.
Oh, hi, Mary. I'm struggling to see. Mary.
Hi, I'm back. We're back in California, and we're safe. And interestingly enough, we stayed near the Tehachapi Pass, the last that came into California. And we called in the morning, and they said, "Yeah, come on by. You can stay tonight at the RV park." And in the morning, when we were checking out, they said that they had gotten the word that they couldn't let anybody else come into the park, so the RV parks are closed. So we made it home just in time to avoid the closures in California and other states. So we're happy to be home and safe, and the Christmas tree is up. Yay!
Hey.
And I'll pay 20.
Ooh, I like it. Mary, is that a state or a private campground?
It was a private campground.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah,
Well, a lot of the
ones
states,
are already shut
the
down.
state ones have been closed for a while. But I feel bad for the people that are on the road. Where are they going to stay? Walmart parking lots, and who knows?
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Nice tree, Mary.
Yeah. Oh, and we tested our RV. We stayed in, if you can believe this, in Texas and a place in Arizona, and the temperatures at night were hard freezes, and our RV came through just great.
That's great. Any other happy finds? Yes, Birdie.
Yep.
Whoops.
Whoa.
What is that? Just a minute. Turn off my. Is that better?
No. Nope.
I'm sorry. It's my iPad. I'm trying to turn it off.
Bernie, you're on twice. That's why you're doing feedback. Shut one of your cells off.
All right, that'll be worth a big
That
fine.
should be a fine
Yeah,
all
so my
by
big
itself.
fine will be to the foundation because I have a birthday coming this week. So anyway, we're still alive. We're still up and kicking and can complain and compliment. So I'll donate to the foundation.
Okay, so you'll get that directly to Bill, right?
There.
Thank you.
I've got a happy fine.
Go for it, Brad.
Thankful that Sacramento County is not charging us big fines.
Hey.
So I would say I'd give 10,000, but how about 10?
I like it. All right, let's hear it for Sue. Woo!
Dawn had a happy fine. Nope. Okay. Dawn had a happy fine. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll put in $10 just to kind of say thank you for all my friends and your good wishes and thoughts and those kinds of things while I've been recovering. And so I know with Zoom I will meet with you, sign your list signing, and throw in another $1 that will go to your foundation thing.
Thank you. You're very kind. All right. Well, thanks everyone. This is my first prospector, but thank you, Audrey, for helping out too. Appreciate
you did an awesome job.
We'll be kind. Okay, great. Well, we finally got to the exciting part of the morning. Mr. Tobin really almost needs no introduction, but we'll do one anyway. Russ, would you like to, or shall I say something nice about it? I can think of something.
I'll try to say something nice, but it's hard to come up with anything. But I've known Bill for a long time, and his better half, Sherry, also. And Bill is one of these people that he just kind of bleeds good things. He's been deeply involved with Rotary for a long time, and when he worked as a nuclear engineer type, he still glows, but he was always involved at that time with Shelter Box, and then finally got out of the glowing thing and decided to go to work full time for them. And I think he's Rotary or Shelter Box's liaison to Rotary International, if I'm not mistaken. So with that, Bill Tobin.
Thanks, Russ. Thanks, Bob. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. I miss not being there. I would have given, I know Ann would have given me a big hug, and Lori and I would have went off on the side and talked a little bit about Russ and how he's really doing. And Dennis and I would talk football, I'm sure. And I just miss you. And breakfast. Your guys' breakfast is outstanding. I love the, I think it's just enchilada sauce with tortilla chips in it. It's like Mexican cereal or something. I can't stop eating it when I go to your club. So thanks so much for having me here virtually. Let's get straight to the presentation. I know a lot of it, I've taken quite a bit of it out because you guys do know a lot about Shelter Box. So I'll just go over a couple of basics for anyone who's new to the club, and we'll get right into the where we're at right now part of the presentation. So I saw Bob's face light up, so I'm assuming everyone's seeing my screen. That's key number one for doing online presentations. Have a nice bright first slide, because then you know if you're sharing it right, because everyone's face lights up. So 20 years at Shelter Box this year. Here is something that you may not know. The original goal of this small club in Helston Lizard, England, was to help 10 families a year. That was the original Shelter Box goal, 10 families a year. And as you well know, and because we've told you many times, we're well over 1.5. I think we're over 1.6, actually 1.6 million people now. So what an amazing accomplishment for a club project. And that's exactly what Shelter Box is. It's a project. It's not run by Rotary. It's run by Shelter Box. It's not funded by Rotary. It's funded through contributions that come into Shelter Box. And the whole concept of it is the center of gravity obviously is the tent or tarps for some sort of shelter. And then all the other amenities that you see here, like pots and pans. Families often get food programs come in and give food, but they don't really pay much attention to how you're going to cook that food. After disaster, or after you're driven from your home due to conflict, you'll need something to cook your food in. Some safety items like water filters, mosquito nets, solar lights, which we have found have been one of the most cherished items that families receive because they can continue to function as a family after the sun goes down. We've also adapted or changed our tent a bunch of times, but we now have many different tents that we could use in our deployments, even one with a small wood burning stove inside of it. And the tarps, those are really, we didn't realize the impact we would have with tarps. In fact, we for a few years, about 10 years ago, really went away from, we don't want to do tarps, we want to do tents. But the more we found how families were utilizing tarps, not only for repairs, but for complete structure building, it's a much larger square footage than a tent. And I think most importantly, the tarps could be repurposed for a number of different things. Whereas a tent, it could be reused, it could even be repurposed. We have some tents that are now the family's business storefronts, but it's still just a tent. There's only so much you could do. So the shelter kits have been really one of the most sought after items in disaster relief. A lot of areas of the world, if we gave a choice, a tent or a tarp, they would take the tarp every time. So now we're close. I think we're actually over 350 responses around the world in our 20 years. And I think our final numbers are coming out for the year shortly. I think we might even top 1.7 million people. So we've been real busy this year, helping well over 100,000 people. But the need out there is still just incredibly large. I've shown you this slide before, but the numbers were lower. So the numbers have gone up over the course of the last few years. The number that still is just, 100% solvable is people displaced by conflict. 80 million people around the world. That's a total of people greater than World War I and World War II displacements combined. So that's just an incredibly large number that, if we could just stop fighting one another, we'd only have to deal with 25 million people who are displaced by disasters every year. And that might even be manageable at a much greater impact level than ShelterBox and all the other shelter cluster organizations can do right now. Real quick on the partnership, because I'm sure I've covered this with you before, but it's all about volunteers. Our response team members are by and large volunteers, our volunteer base across the United States. There's definitely room for more. There's just 2 of us in 5180, and I'd love to get a couple more because it makes it much easier when we put the tent up to have 4 people there than 1 or 2. Funding, I don't have to tell you about this. You are a hero club. You have been for several years. I just looked you up when you gave the donation yesterday. Thank you so much for that. You have now contributed over the years over $20,000 towards ShelterBox. That's really, thank you so much. And actually, I think as someone mentioned the tent going up there once in the past. I think that was Jim Carrier, who visited your club a couple times before I was even on board at ShelterBox. But the partnership is much more than fundraising and volunteer work. It's allowed ShelterBox to pre-position our aid around the world, where once we shipped everything from our warehouse in the UK, we included packing the boxes and shipping them. And we found, 1, it was really expensive to do work that way. 2, we had one size fits most kind of mentality. So if you were a large family, you wouldn't have enough blankets. That's because we just sent the box with the stuff in it. Now that we pre-position around the world, that's palletized aid. So it's not full shelter boxes. There are some ready to go, but it's also just pallets of blankets or pallets of shelter kits or pallets of water filters. So when a disaster strikes, we know exactly what it is the most needs are, and we could adapt that aid for family size. If you're a large family, you may need different items than a smaller family size. On the ground, Rotarians help us every aspect, from the very initial phone call or email saying there's been a disaster here, we might need some help, to after we've gone, and we do what's called post-distribution monitoring, where we go back and we ask a portion of the families served questions on do they feel safer? Are they warmer? Or do they need anything else? And a lot of times, when possible, it's the Rotary clubs that'll go do that aspect of the work for us. Obviously, the things like importation and transportation and translations, Rotary members are big helps there. And it really, in many cases, they become the face of the response work, because Shelter Box is not a large organization. So our response teams are quite small. It could be as small as 4 people. So we really rely upon that volunteer help. And the Rotarians really, around the world where we do this, it works very well as also a membership recruitment, because the families that are served in places like here in Batangas, in the Philippines, this is the Rotary Club of Batangas Midwest, by the way, they will serve their community, and then those members of the community, when they're back on their feet, come and say, hey, I want to be part of what you guys do. So we've seen membership growth, which is really cool. So right now around the world, we are about as busy as we possibly can be, and all the Hero Club donations that are coming in this month, when yours came in yesterday, so it qualifies, they're all going to help our efforts in Honduras. Hurricanes Eta and Iota went through there in a period of 10 days, one right after the other. Real similar storm tracks through Central America, several countries in need, but unfortunately we can't help them all. Our resources are quite limited, especially in this COVID environment. So we are going to help 3,200 families is our goal in Honduras, and they will get shelter kits, tools, ropes, solar lights, mosquito nets, kitchen sets, water filters, water carriers, blankets. I'm sure I'm forgetting. I say ground covers probably. And all that we're able to do at a budgeted cost to us at $170 per family. So that $1,000, you all think, oh, we just got a box that helps one family. In reality, it's going to help, well, I don't know, didn't do the math, but basically around 4 families, 4-point-something families at $170 per family in our budget. So we're really doing well with stretching donor dollars, especially in this time of COVID-19. And boy, is it ever important work right now. Refugees and displaced people due to conflict, or disasters, they are especially at risk. And primarily it's because of density issues. When you're in an evacuation center, or you have multiple families staying in a single family home because of a disaster, you have a far greater density in people. So you see the number there. New York City, that's the most populous, densely populated city on our soil here. That's absolutely nothing in comparison to Katupalan. And what's also a factor here is the fact that, and this is Katupalan here in Bangladesh, there's close to 1 million Rohingya refugees that live here. And that leads to the second reason why our work is so important. We have to get families separated from one another, because areas like this with no electricity, with no running water, also have no healthcare services, nothing near in comparison to more developed countries. Refugee camps may have a small group of volunteer doctors that come in, but there's no testing facilities. There's no ventilators. There's really no help whatsoever if people do get sick. So what we've been doing is getting people out of crowded situations and putting them into individual tents or tarps. You think about it, it's exactly what we're doing on this meeting. Bob, you're in a tent, and Audrey, you're in a tent. James, you've got a tent. Now, our tents are pretty nice. We've got kitchens, we've got bathrooms, we've got multiple rooms, heating and air, all that. But if you take that all away, strip it all away, we're in a shelter. And it's really at the basics of it, no different than the folks living in these tents. And that's how we're separating. That's how we're trying to fight this pandemic. We've done 5 projects since mid-March in the Philippines. We have helped over 8,000 households in that time. In addition to that, we did a hospital expansion on the island of Cebu. We saw temporary structures in New York. Of course, here locally, we're talking about using the arena for hospital space. And in the Philippines, there's no safety nets like we have here in the United States. So it fell upon Shelter Box to do that work for the Eversley Hospital in Cebu. Typhoon Goni, Super Typhoon Goni, the strongest storm to make landfall anywhere on the planet this year, did so south of Manila on the island of Luzon. We can't get people around. We have an operations team in the Philippines full-time, Filipino residents that are response team members, but they can't do inter-island travel because of COVID. So we really had to work with some local partners. We worked with Rotary clubs, and it was actually a Rotarian that hooked us up with the Navy that you see in this picture here, where our aid went from the island of Cebu up to Luzon. And as of last week, we have completed that deployment. So it struck Halloween weekend, and by the first week in December, we had 5,100 families with aid. And, you know, a lot of folks, they do go like tarps, you know, I mean, that doesn't seem like it's really capable of making a house, but the reality is it is, and it's capable of making quite a comfortable house, as you can see here from Jeannie. I just love this picture, not only because she looks like she's in a spot where she's comfortable and safe, but also look, a great decorator. She can come do my house. I mean, I love the curtains, and the whole aspect of that is just beautiful, and it's a result of a shelter kit. Another area of the world where we've been working very hard lately, not just lately, over the last 5 or 6 years now, is the Lake Chad Basin, and it's got multiple problems in regards to displacement of people. The massive displacement of over 2.5 million now in the 4 countries is due to Boko Haram violence. But you also have an ecological disaster there over the course of time, 20-year drought, overuse of water, unregulated use of water, but mostly the drought has decimated Lake Chad. It now is more marshland. It does get wet in the winter or wet seasons. Right now, I think they're just finishing up a wet season. And so families will go into the marshlands to get the water, and then they get flooded out and have to move and back and forth and back and forth. It's a very delicate situation. And Boko Haram figures if they control the water, they control the people. And if you think about it, that's actually a pretty good strategy. And unfortunately, they've been very successful in this region. So I'm sure I've talked about Minowau Camp with you before, but it's in dire need of expansion. There are 30,000 people outside the protection of the camp waiting to get in. It's so large, you can see it on Google Earth or Google Maps. And the little red circle is what I added there, and that represents these 50 tents. We are the only supplier of tented shelter to new arrivals in Minowau, and they are arriving every day. This past summer, we processed through Fan. She's 30 years old. She's from Nigeria. She's a mother with 8 children under her care, 3 her own, 5 orphaned. She is twice been displaced in Nigeria due to Boko Haram violence. The first time her husband was injured, he lost his leg. The second time, he basically told them to go without, leave him behind. He could not keep up. We don't know his fate, but we do know that Fan didn't make it to Minowau. I've talked about Minowau several times over the years. I'm sure I've talked about it to your club before, but this hit me particularly hard because I've never have considered this destination, which is a camp, which is primarily shelter box gear. I never would think that someone would name it by name as the place to go to find safety. That just completely blew me away. She's such a beautiful woman. Like everyone else in the world, she not only has to deal with all these other hardships, but now she's trying to fight coronavirus like the rest of us. And having a tent keeps her family safer by avoiding crowded places. She also got cook sets and lots of other things so they can live more independently in the camp. Syria, another place where we work in the world. I'll tell you right now, a lot of the areas where we work, there is little, if any, Rotary. We're working for flooding in Sudan. There's 41 million people in Sudan. There's 1 Rotary club. There's 21 members. In Cameroon, where the Minowau camp is, throughout the entire country, Cameroon, there's less than 500 Rotarians. Here in Syria, there is no Rotary. The only evidence that Rotary even exists in the world to the families that we reach in Syria is the Rotary emblem you see on the boxes right here. These boxes were recently arrived in Syria as part of our winter aid shipment. This is pictures from the past week or two now. Our aid has arrived in Idlib, which is in the northwest part of the country. It's a winter aid package, so it's quite a bit different. We're able to help family sizes of 5 for $400. What makes this different is, in addition to things like tents and tarps and rope and duct tape and what's in our normal boxes, we have extra warm blankets. We have carpets for the ground. We also have mattresses, 4-inch mattresses. You can see those stacked in the gray plastic on the side there. The distributions there are quite a bit different. Our solar lights are also, we have various solar lights. Some don't have plug-ins for micro USB. The ones in Syria do, because folks have burner phones. They buy these phones, but they have no electricity or limited electricity, so they can't charge them. So they've got minutes on a phone to reach family members or whomever, and they can't power those phones up after they lose their initial charge. So now they're able to charge those phones using those solar lights that we provide. Soap and wash basins is something else new that we never did before COVID, but now we do it wherever the need is found. It's something that will always be in our catalog now because it just makes good sense. It's one of those V8 moments where we go, man, we should have thought about this 20 years ago, because the flu, the common cold, polio, washing your hands can stop a lot of things from transmitting from one person to the other. So I think soap and wash basins, and it's really inexpensive and it's really lightweight. And those are the two things that we're really, and it's very effective. Those are the three things we really look for when packing shelter boxes. And last but not least, in Syria, warm children's clothing. Last winter in Syria, over 3 dozen children were documented to freezing to death because they did not have the base necessities like a blanket. We can't let that happen. Children need a fighting chance in war zones to survive. And so please don't do a coat drive for us, though. I see Ann Hiley's like, oh, no, please don't. We can't accept used clothing, and it won't be allowed in the country of Syria, for one. And even new clothing, it's far less expensive for us to source it locally, either in Syria or most of it sourced in Turkey, and to get it in the country as opposed to trying to ship something around the world. But this really is making a difference. This is and her family. Last winter, they received everything you see in this picture, even those twins, actually, because when we met she was 8 months pregnant. So when we did the follow-up work, there are the twins. Even those little infant blankets were part of our package last year. We're trying to help that gear you saw in the first couple pictures. 1,500 families is what our current budget is going to allow us to help this winter. We really want to try and double that through the winter. So we do have a Syria Relief Fund open if individuals or the club would want to also contribute to that. It goes straight to those winter projects in Syria right now, and able to help families of 5 for under $400 is pretty impressive use of donor dollars there. And we have to do that kind of financial stewardship with donor money because we are monitored by Charity Navigator and GuideStar. And we recently, just this month, last week, received notice that we maintained our Charity Navigator 4-star rating. So we're very proud of that. We are not funded through the Rotary Foundation. So don't get that confused. Oh yeah, they've had that, 100%. Ours is not 100%. I don't know how the foundation gets 100%. That's incredible. Well, I do know because I'm a Rotarian, so I know exactly how they're doing that. But for Shelter Box, a 4-star rating, we've maintained that for several years. And our Nobel Peace Prize nominations, I think, speak volumes for the impact we make in the world, especially in areas where people are displaced by conflict. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to quit sharing my screen so I can see y'all again. Hi. And if there's any questions, in time for questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Russ always has a question.
I do. Bill, you said so many times that Rotary and Shelter Box are separate, and yet you always, in your talks, talk about what Rotary is doing with Shelter Box. What exactly is the relationship?
Well, the partnership agreement opens up the Rotary network communication-wise for us. So we do have access to district governor contact information. We could ask and get access for individual club information, which typically, I mean, as a Rotarian, I could probably go in the database and find that stuff, but that's not the way it works. So that kind of help is big. A lot of the work that the partnership does is in promoting of what we do. We have articles written about our work in the Rotarian magazine, 1 or 2 a year. That's part of the partnership agreement, that they are required by the agreement to do that. Financially, you know, because of the nature of global grants, it's virtually impossible. It's not virtually, it is impossible to do a natural disaster grant that way. You don't know where we're going to be. The disaster grants that the foundation now have are reactive, and we need to operate proactively. So we need that funding before we go. If we're asking for funding after we're there through a Rotary grant, which is only $25,000 to begin with, it's going to take too long for that even though they have sped it up, and they did the one in Malawi last year in under 30 days, we were gone by then. So the global grant systems never really worked for us. However, Rotary has been working with us on how to make it work. So, I mean, they could have easily just said, tough luck, better luck next time with a grant proposal. Instead, they're saying, okay, let's overcome these obstacles. Much the same way, Russ, that a Rotary club, when you're doing a global grant or a big grant, you're kind of afraid, but you ask the foundation people for help. And they're like, that's what we're here for. You know, so we have a global grant in the works. District 7210 in the Hudson Valley, New York, is working with the Rotary Club in Cameroon. And I'm pretty confident that's going to be our initial global grant, because the two of the things that's hard for us with the Rotary Foundation is where we're going to work. They need to know that, and the impact you're going to make on the families and how sustainable that is. And in a refugee camp, well, I should say in a tent or a tarp, then historically they didn't consider that sustainable living or sustainable cause. So there had been proposed grants by clubs before that were denied. Now in Minowau, because the UN says that even if peace broke out tomorrow, Boko Haram just disappeared off the face of the earth, it would take a decade to get 2.5 million people back into, you know, their villages were burned to the ground. I mean, it's a horrible situation there. So the foundation's like, well, our argument was, well, we're raising the standard of living for a family from where they were to what we can provide, and that's sustainable until it could be raised yet again with a more permanent house back in their village. Rotary Foundation's like, okay, we get that, because they're going to be in those tents for a long time. And we even do tent replacements, because the UV rays will, after about 2.5 years, 3 years in Lake Chad Basin, they'll just pretty much destroy the top of the tent. They'll start tearing at the seams. So sometimes we'll put tarps over them, and that works real well. Sometimes we'll do tent replacements. But the Rotary Foundation, the staff members that work for the foundation are working with us much more so now. So the partnership is it is an interesting dynamic. A lot of it is just the ability to be able to talk to people around the world without the delays we once had, because we do get, when we ask for it, that direct contact information.
Thank you.
Hi, Bertie.
I've got a question. So we have refugees that are housed in our tents for maybe 2 years. As an educator, I have the obvious question: have any tarps or tents been used for temporary classrooms?
Absolutely, absolutely. In Syria, especially, we've used tarps. We found a school being held in a cave. You can actually go on YouTube, I believe, and just shelter box cave school or something like that and find a video for that. And we do what's called a school kit. We haven't been doing it lately because we have found that other organizations are filling the gaps in the areas of which we work in that regard. But over time, again, in Syria, we put 15,000 children back into classrooms with our school kits. After natural disasters like the earthquakes in Nepal, which devastated many schools. We did the same thing there, so they'd have the materials to build a temporary school. So yes, absolutely, we do that work. In Lake Chad Basin, a lot of that work is there. We aren't the only supplier of shelter. We're the only supplier of tented shelter for new arrivals, but there are makeshift schools that other UN shelter cluster partners have created there. So we keep an eye out. I mean, we really keep our ear to that. We know the importance of educating children, especially in these areas of conflict where you've seen decade, or I should say generation after generation after generation of conflict. Something's got to change in that, and education is the key to that change.
Okay, that's great. I thank you, Steve, for reminding me that I kind of made a mistake here. And of course, we're very happy that you were here, Bill. But before we finish the meeting, Don Russell, that is, I owe you an apology. He had all this stuff to talk about, but then he was also our vocational talk today. And I forgot to say, so Don, do your vocational talk. So
he left.
Why don't you do your vocational talk?
He left already. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen here. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Yep.
There we go. So Orangevale Rotary Club, this is my presentation. I'm Don Russell. I'm your vocational speaker today.
Hi, Don.
There we go. That's what I'm looking for.
Hi, Don.
So Jim Button's not here, but Jim asked me to speak on the second law of thermodynamics. It says that entropy of any isolated, oh, you guys don't want to listen to that, do you? I'm actually going to talk about LinkedIn. So this is my LinkedIn business account that I use, and if you go to my page, I've changed my heading to Clean Hygiene Experiences and Epic Germ-Phobic Reduction. So, you know, as some of you may or may not know, I work for Kimberly-Clark. I primarily work in the hygiene industry, hand washing and hand drying. And I use this page to connect with a lot of my customers. So if you take your cameras out right now, and like on your cell phone, if you take your camera out and take a picture of this QR code, it will link you up to my LinkedIn account. I don't see you doing that, David. David, where's your, David, are you ignoring me? Get your phone out and line it up with this QR code, Dennis. And what it'll do is it'll take you to my page. And if you were a commercial customer, so Tommy Pino was asking me just a few minutes ago, is the Ace Hardware store my customer? No, they're not. They're the DIY, do-it-yourself. I work primarily in commercial, so office buildings, hospitals, education. And what I primarily do is go in and retrofit equipment like this here, where they may want stainless steel, real stainless steel equipment, which we can do for about half the cost of what our competition would provide it at. So large customers like Kaiser, they figured this out and they spec our products in during construction. So this slide here, if you take a look at it, this is my dashboard. It shows how many people have viewed my profile in the past day. And many of those people are customers that I work with on an ongoing basis, property managers, school principals, facility managers, that they're doing research in the background. They don't necessarily want to speak to me directly to raise my hopes up. One of the ways that I keep their attention is by posting activity and news. So I have a professional reader that reads real hard copy. If you look at my screen, real articles for me. That's my 96-year-old father, so he cuts and clips a lot of stuff for me. But a lot of my other articles that are posted here are electronic, that I have an electronic service that pulls up articles of interest, and then I read them, and if I'm interested, then I would post them. So for example, here's one that talks about, did you know that the surface of a jet air dryer has about 1,000 times more germs than a paper towel dispenser? And part of that is due to the fact that it collects a lot of germs through the HEPA filter and the heat that's involved. And then additionally, those air dryers actually blow germs around. They can actually blow them 6.5 feet away. So if you're in a restroom, just consider that. If there's a jet air dryer blowing air around, it might, in fact, be blowing germs that you're inhaling. This is an article that I thought was kind of cute. Do we work at home or do we live at work? And, you know, it just kind of has to do with the current times. Here's an article I posted about our smart restroom system called Basin. So I spoke about this a couple years ago. I have an ongoing update on that. And if you click on the link, it'll give you additional information. Here's an article I posted, and then I made a comment on it. And it talks about Chipotle. The original article talks about COVID and the spread of the perfect conditions. One of the ways that Chipotle is reacting to that is they're having their employees wash their hands and dry their hands every 30 minutes. So if you think about that, they're probably going from 0 or 3 to about 20 times of washing per day. And that's something that I would encourage all of you to do. And that is wash your hands as most often as you can. This is the last part of my page. It's my vocational experience. And of course, as a Rotarian, I have Rotary posted there. I've been a Rotarian for over 20 years. And you can't get away from this without talking about Dr. Seuss. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. So that's my post, or that's my presentation today. Thank you very much for listening. And there's my QR code again if you'd like to snap on that and take a closer look at what I'm posting. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Russ. I appreciate that. You want to go back to...
Let's see, I stopped sharing.
Yeah, stop sharing.
Stop sharing. There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Great. Okay, thanks a lot. That was great. Good. Applause all around. Okay, well, I think we made it. We've got a couple of minutes left, so good job, everybody. Let's see. I just wanted to, next week, James is going to be the vocational speaker. Our program, I'm not sure how to say her name. Maria, go ahead, Russ, how do you say her name? Her last name is Sheen, but anyway, she's a former GSE team member, and she's going to be talking to us about that and what's happened since she was on the GSE team. Is that right, Russ?
Yeah, she was here, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and from Peru, and has since moved here. And I don't think she's a citizen yet, but I think she's looking forward to being one. And it's just about what it's like to be in GSE and connect.
Yeah, great. Okay, so I want to thank our guests, Bill certainly, and also Desi. Glad to have you back. Please come again next week. We'll be back one more time this year.
Mr. President,
Yes.
President, sorry to interrupt, but for those of us who are less initiated, what is a GSE?
I always forget. Russ, what is it? What is a GSE?
Let Lori say it. Lori ran it. So
Mary knows. Mary was a GSE.
unmute yourself.
What?
It's group study exchange.
Yes.
And
Mary was a group study exchange. For our new members, it's a program we no longer have. It morphed into something different. But it's where a team comes here to learn how their job is done in our country, and our team goes to their country. It's a 4-week exchange, but for adults.
Yeah, Jim Bunton was a team leader a number of years ago and took a team to somewhere in the Far East.
Asia.
They can still be done, but they would be done under either the district grants or the global grants, but they can still be done.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear me? This is Mary Gottlieben.
Yes.
I was a group study exchange team member to Northern Australia, and that's how I learned about Rotary and why I joined Rotary.
Yeah. So we have both team leaders and team members that are even in our club. And we'll get to hear again from a person who was in the other end doing the exchanges next week and what's happened in the years since then. So looking forward to that. So for a parting thought, I was looking through for some Christmassy kind of thing, and I found several that I thought were kind of funny, so I'm going to read you a couple. I stopped, this is, I thought this was kind of funny. It was from Shirley Temple. I hope everybody here knows who Shirley Temple was. Most of us are certainly old enough. But Shirley Temple said, I stopped believing in Santa Claus when I was 6. Mother took me to see him in the department store and he asked me for my autograph. And then there's the 3 stages of man. He believes in Santa Claus. He does not believe in Santa Claus. He is Santa Claus. So with that, go out and buy presents for your family and friends, and I'm always welcoming them. And I'm trying to look at these chats to see what they say, and I don't know what's going on here. Something about something. Okay. Anyway, I feel like I'm losing control here of myself, so I think I'll just call this meeting. Jen and I'm hitting the bell, and thanks again for everybody being with us this morning. And we'll see you next Friday morning on our computer screen again. Okay, thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, bye.